to educate the community, the veteran community in particular, and be available to provide that service if they're interested.
Morris says he's hoping for their training to take off at more of UMA's campuses across the state.
Is that Jody? Is it you?
Delaney.
Yep.
And her mate.
Can you
Says main instrument slide is open to first
in the background?
work program next.
I can't hear you.
Today, Lewiston's Warming Center, operated by
I'm getting Lewiston's
facility. The site what used to be Schmenge's Bar.
how can I mute him? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so Jody's now turned his microphone off. Okay. All
Who
right,
was that was joining?
Jody Larrabee.
Okay.
And who is he?
He's a citizen. He's on Staples Hill with a little farm stand. And he's involved in understanding the, he's very, such a strong proponent of transparency and being available for meetings and participating.
And his wife's one of the select.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:10. And first thing we'll do is we'll go over the old agenda and last week's or last meeting's minutes.
Before we do anything else, I think we need to read the meeting policy
Oh, yeah.
on the top of the agenda.
All right. Planning board meeting rules are posted in the meeting room. This is so everyone will understand that while the planning board meetings are public proceedings, the public has no right to participate unless the planning board allows it, or the meeting is scheduled as a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak about a topic must request to be placed on the agenda 5 working days prior to the meeting day. The chairperson will allow 15 minutes for open discussion at the end of every planning board meeting, allowing anyone speaking to the board will do so in a civil tone. Yelling, swearing, or belittling is not allowed. Anyone doing so will be asked to sit down as a warning. If order is not observed, that person will be asked to leave. If that person does not leave, law enforcement will be called to remove that person from the meeting, and charges will be filed. Anyone speaking will represent themselves unless written permission given from a person wanted to be represented by someone. All cell phones should be turned off or placed on silent. This policy is enacted at regular and duty called meetings starting on the 7th day of November 2024.
I'm just making sure my phone is on silent.
All right, so at the moment, I think we only have Jody. I can't see that screen from here, but we only have Jody on
Right.
Zoom, so.
Okay.
That's our only public attendance at the moment. As we go down through old business, well, first of all, I think we should welcome Don.
We can do that. I'd like to welcome Don to the planning board.
Thank you.
For doing this for us. It's nice to have a full board. I think this is the first time we've had a full board in a while.
You're
So,
welcome. My
thank you.
pleasure.
Do you guys all know each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've introduced.
Okay.
Introduction before we got here.
Yeah.
Before you- So the November 7th meeting minutes are attached for review. I will change the word agenda at the top to minutes before I submit that.
Okay.
I motion to accept.
My second. All those in favor? Thank you.
Sorry, did we second that?
Well, I voted for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Robin seconded.
I motion
Oh,
to second.
Ethan.
I like to think what.
Okay. Didn't see any CEO actions. I know that at the select board meeting, there was an updated report from the code enforcement officer. I don't know how, it had a couple new things from the last time we looked at it, so.
Yeah.
We'll get one before our next meeting.
I was gonna say, it was emailed out to all of us. I think that's what they looked at.
All right, let me just check. Oh, yeah, November 13th.
Just want to make sure yes, you were on it.
Yep, okay, so November 13th, we got that. I will forward that to you, Don.
Thank you. So that's an ordinance book or,
The code enforcement officer, actually issues the majority of the building permits.
okay,
And so, he's asked to keep a log of all the building permits he issues, so that, and then we'd like to get a copy of that
okay,
once a month or so, just so we know what's going on.
Right.
People come to us occasionally and
Yeah.
say, what's happening with that building over on Thursday Street? We're like, we don't know, we don't see the applications.
right,
So as a planning board, we see, shoreline zoning applications, we review those.
okay, sure, okay,
We're gonna talk about floodplain management tonight, so I think maybe the planning board should be reviewing those as well.
And we do commercial ones.
We do commercial ones and we do subdivision ones. And we may do the cluster housing, we haven't got to that ordinance yet.
okay,
I'm forwarding you that right now.
okay. I'll get it. I'll get it.
I will attach it to the meeting minutes. Can I just bring up an old business? At the last meeting, we moved the December 16th, our regularly scheduled meeting. I'm sorry, December 19th would be our regularly scheduled meeting. It's getting very close to the holidays, people are traveling, so we moved it to Monday, December 16th.
Okay, so you're gonna have the first Thursday and then Monday, the 16th.
Correct.
And we have an upcoming comprehensive plan meeting as well.
Yeah,
Which is December, I'll have to look.
second or
Second.
fifth,
Second. I'm calling the comp plan reboot.
okay, reboot, okay. And then this is a normal, this is a Monday, 16th is a.
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to have to be a little more tight on moving our meetings because if one person was gone, we like lost a quorum or whatever, so.
Oh, I got
But now
that,
there's 5 of us, if one person's missing, it's not,
it's not as,
we can still
okay,
conduct business.
yeah. Got it. So first, second, and 16th for December.
First Thursday, the first.
First Thursday, yeah,
Right.
that's what I got, first Thursday,
Yes, and then the second
which is,
would be the comp plan, that's actually a Monday and that's early on. So actually, it would be the comp plan on the second,
right, and then the
First.
16th.
and then the Thursday, and then that's, yeah. Okay.
And at this comprehensive plan meeting, we really are trying to get the word out that we're gonna have this meeting. And, right, I mean, I think that,
Kathy put it on the Facebook page of the town, I put it on the town, or she put it on the towns, I put it on the, so you know, you can Canton main page, and we've had 4 people who gave it a thumbs up, I don't know if anybody's planning to come. Maybe I'll make it a Facebook event and then invite everybody in the
Yeah.
town to it and see who actually shows up.
that's great, that's great, and the more people that like it, I think it'll get more traction on their news feeds, their friends' news feeds, etc.
Yes, and I think I put in that the intent of that particular meeting is just to kind of review where we are, review the vision that was talked about earlier. Kind of what we have so far for inventory of different things, find out where those gaps are, and just create a work plan to move it forward. So we're not like making necessary decisions. The comp plan of that meeting is really just getting everybody up to speed on where we are and what do we have to do to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So,
Here,
Yes,
so are we looking for volunteers? Are we, I guess, because if we're not making any decisions on the comprehensive plan. Or we're not soliciting input.
oh, we are soliciting.
Oh, we are,
Oh,
okay. Oh, okay, okay,
Right, but some people have never even heard of it.
right.
So you have to give them a little bit of grounding on what it is.
Mhm.
People don't know kind of all the work that's been done to date on it, so we kind of have to get them up to speed on here's where we are.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I think an action plan to say, okay, here's the pieces that are still missing, and how are we gonna get that done in the next 3 months?
Do you have something that I could review prior to that meeting? Of
Yes.
what is done?
I can get
what's-
you the old comp plan,
Okay,
um. And I'm working on getting everything organized that we've got so far.
okay.
When we get that,
So the old comp plan,
that's 2004.
is that the original, that's what was going to be the comprehensive plan? And you have things that have possibly changed in it?
No, that was the last one that was approved by the town officially is 2004.
2004?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a 10-year.
I thought you said 20, I thought you said
No.
24.
No.
Sorry.
It's supposed to be a 10-year plan, so it's been 20 years since we've
Okay.
updated the plan.
Okay, all right, that one, okay. And I didn't hear that quite right initially, okay. But you have one that you guys have been working on,
We've been working on chapters of it. We
okay?
did several public hearings or public meetings where we invited people first to come and vision. What do you want the town to be like? What's gonna be important to you in the future?
Yeah,
And then we kind of got people a second time in a public forum to say, if this is the vision of where we want to go, what are some actions do you think we could take to get from here to there?
right,
Like, what could we do? And people said things like, hey, let's build a community center, because we lack a community gathering point. Or let's do more of this, let's get sidewalks, let's do these things. So they had a lot of ideas for possible actions.
okay,
And then COVID hit, and then committee members had other issues and people dropped off.
okay,
And what backs up that vision and that plan is a bit of I call it the history section, the chapters, and it's like, here's our housing inventory, here's what we have for town vehicles, here's our roads. That like a document of the current state of things,
okay,
so that usually accompanies it. And there's a lot of statistics that goes into those chapters. So we have to make sure our inventory or those chapters are complete.
right,
And then we have to make sure we have a clear picture of the vision and a recommended action plan.
And
So-
the reason why this document is so important is because if the town requests funds in a grant,
right,
the granting organization will often ask, well, we want to see a copy of your comprehensive plan.
right,
Because, I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouths, but they want to see what is the town's vision going
oh,
forward.
absolutely,
And so that's why it's so critical.
And a lot of towns
Yeah.
actually use it as a guiding document for actions, for investment, for all kinds of things. Other towns tend to just stick on the shelf and don't talk about it. So we looked at the old format, and we looked at several other towns' plans, and we found one that we thought was much more engaging and
Mhm.
actionable, a lot less heavy on the statistics,
Yeah,
and a
okay,
little bit more on the narrative, but
Right.
not so wordy that you'd never read it.
right,
So we are kind of trying to put what we've got into that new format. And make it more user friendly.
okay, so when we have this meeting on the 2nd. It'll be reiterated what we have in plan now,
It'll just be getting everybody up to speed on the pieces of this document that we've got today.
okay, gotcha,
So there's not really much prep you need to do for that, because
okay,
that's a get oriented meeting.
okay, got it,
And then coming out of that, hopefully you'll have an action plan with some steps. That's the plan, but you don't have, there's not really a lot to read coming into there.
okay, all right, but reading the old one will help me understand the new one.
2004 one?
It'll put you to
Sure.
sleep.
You can have it. I will email that to you shortly as well.
Okay. Hmm,
Um,
okay,
So I have a welcome new member and a general orientation under today's agenda as well. As a planning board member, you are required within so many months to take a evening course offered by Maine Municipal Organization.
okay,
It's a planning board training.
okay,
You
where do you take that, online
can do
or?
it online, they can do it in person. Give me 1 second, I will try to get to Maine Municipal and find out when the next one is.
Is it a one night thing?
Yeah, it's a few hours. It's very nice.
Oh, okay, that's no problem,
While we're talking, I will look it up for you and get the latest one. As the secretary, I'm happy to sign you up for that. Usually I have several dates coming up over the next few months. You pick one that works for you.
okay,
We'll get you signed up. They build a town office, the town base for that training.
Okay,
At some point, it's probably helpful to get your own account at Maine Municipal.
Maine Municipal,
If you, Maine Municipal Association will get you to their website.
okay. .com or .org,
It's MEMUN, MEMUN.
MENUN. Well, once I go through this class, I mean, won't they let me know? No,
Well, they let you know what.
to.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Okay, look it up.
Credentials. Oh, it doesn't like my password.
There is another planning board and board of appeals course on Tuesday, December 10th. That's the next one.
Online or in person?
Zoom.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
And what time?
Looks like 4 to 7:30.
Okay. So will you sign me up for that?
I am, I'm resetting my password. for the
Okay.
website right now.
Yeah.
I think I haven't changed it in a long time anyway, you can change it.
Oh, yeah,
All right, then. Training, coming, shops and. Second. Well, there's three, I believe that's coming up.
Oh, yeah, and the freedom of that, information.
Yeah, so
access
12
to-
10 local, oops, this one right here, local planning board and board of appeals on 12/10.
Yeah.
Get you signed up?
okay, I got it down here, I'll put it on my calendar.
I may have to create a new account with MMA because it's telling me that I don't have one.
I just updated my password. Because I haven't changed it in 3 years, so I probably need to do that. I'm gonna register someone, okay. I'll register it right now.
And also the Freedom of Information Act, Diane.
Well, there's the online training, but I think they cover that in this training class here
Do they?
too as well, yes.
there is, and there's a website too, let me pull that up, do I just?
That's what we did, yeah.
Don't remind me your email.
It's-
The Everly one
Sent as
at
an email.
gmail.com, the number one at gmail.com.
I'm going to send it to you as an email, the Freedom of Access Act, frequently asked questions.
Okay,
That one reviews, and then there are papers.
The Kathy in the office has a paper for you to sign saying you did it in what date, I think is all.
okay. Do you have my email?
I think I do, I'm going to double check, actually, I probably need to sign in my personal email, where I received the email from.
I'd give it to you.
This is right.
D Everly,
D
EVER.
Everly.
yeah.
Oh, let me just, okay, I'm ready. D Everly
EVERLY, the number one at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, well, we will get you signed up.
Okay,
It's not letting me do all that stuff right now, so. All right. So just another 2 seconds of orientation. We are working on trying to get, we're trying to get all of the ordinances digitally.
mhm,
I've got most of them. I'll work with Kathy and try to make sure we have everything. We also have a number of them printed out.
okay,
we've got notebooks available, so we can get you a book.
Oh, okay.
For the latest ordinances.
These are all ordinances? Oh,
I'd say we're through 75% of them or more, updating them. Making them all current within the last 10 years, 5 years.
okay.
So we're kind of reformatting, we're putting everything on the same.
So do you have them online?
Not yet.
Yes. Yeah, I was told today, yes, I haven't checked.
On our website.
They weren't as of a couple days.
Do you have a
ago.
planning board website or the town of Canton website?
Town should have they should be able to get all the ordinances off the town's website. They've been working on it for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It should be available.
They are all there. I think.
Because I was on here like 2 days ago and they weren't there then. So is this the CantonME.com is our new website. Policies and ordinances.
No, they're not. There's stuff on there, but they have, under the ordinance tab, they have. Like.
It's up on
not
the wall here,
ordinances.
so you got travel reimbursement policy, job description, bid policy, freedom of information, none of it are, no,
So it's got policies, not ordinances.
yeah. So these are all things currently that are up here.
General
Oh, we do got
assistance ordinance.
policy.
Yeah, that's the one the town, the select board does that one, we don't do that one.
Right,
That's the
so,
only one we don't do. So. So those are actually under policies. Let me see, under resolutions, there was no resolutions, ordinances.
What if you type in cemetery under title?
ERAR.
E, I think.
E,
There's information on the cemetery sexton
Nope,
and the planning board.
what's the difference between the ordinance and resolutions? Ordinance is like what you have to follow in its law. Yes,
the select board makes a resolution, here we resolve to do blah, 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 blah.
okay,
Ordinances are,
but you have to follow.
yes, but nothing that's on here is an ordinance. So,
That's what I'm noticing.
yeah,
But are those ordinances or are those policy, what they call
these are
them?
really policies,
Okay,
other than the. These are all policies. General assistance ordinance is the only one that's an actual ordinance, and that's one that we don't manage, the town manages that.
so,
The
This-
website's just getting up to speed.
right, okay, so these are up to date for the most part.
I have a digital, let me get a thumb drive and put them all on a thumb drive for you,
Okay, okay,
because I've got everything we've got digitally. And we're still finding copies that need for example, that need the authorized signatures. Right, so we're trying to make everything legal,
yep. Wow, okay,
taking a while. And we keep unearthing new ones every so often, somebody will say, oh, here, they pull something out of a file, here's an ordinance, I'm like. Doing this for 6 years, never even heard of that ordinance. So we're all kind of getting up to speed, I figure in another year, we should be,
so, never
Pretty
mind, I'm not gonna ask. Never mind.
we don't know why.
Hmm.
Well, we've had a lot of turnover, first we moved town offices from the old
Yeah.
fire station
Mhm.
to the VFW over to here.
Yeah.
So in transitioning and moving, things get lost.
Do you have all the ordinances on your computer in one folder?
Yep.
Is it too large to email that complete folder? Okay.
I believe so.
Well, or like a Google Drive link.
So did you scan them in or did
Make
you?
a Google Drive link for it
Yes.
all and just put it on there.
Absolutely.
Good question.
Wow.
Let me see if I can find this real quick and see how big that file folder is.
When we finally do put this on the website, is this going to be searchable, a searchable PDF?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
You know what I
It
mean?
should be, I don't know. I don't know under what format they're doing that.
Because that'd be really nice. I know we need the signature version on there, but if they could make that recognizable text and someone has a question, they type in the keyword and then they find it.
So I have a question, like this ordinance here has Donald and Carol and.
So there may be a digital copy of that in my computer, that has not been printed out and put in the notebook.
So do the people that's on here have to sign all these?
One that's voted in at town office, at town meeting.
Yep.
Usually the next meeting after town meeting, all the select board members sign it, and the
Okay,
clerk attests to it that it's.
okay, so
authorizing.
these are just copies before that happened.
These are copied, if they're signed, it's after the town has accepted it.
Right,
And I may have a digital copy of it signed, but not printed out copy in the book.
So.
This,
Not that that's
this
not-
file folder that says ordinances found is 357 meg.
I'm gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna try something here. It's Diane Ray PFI@gmail.com, correct?
Yep.
I just sent you an email.
The invention of the wheel is a big thing.
Click that. I just shared a folder with you. You should be able to drag and drop it all into that folder. And now we will have. I created the folder, so if you drag your stuff or copy and paste it to it.
Is a pass, the whole thing.
um,
This is the whole folder.
Open it. And then do copy all of it, then do Control A.
Somebody's not going to be here, but. Oops.
wow, Canton has that many cemeteries, oh,
14.
Robin is our expert
think
on
the administrator
cemeteries,
is-
Yeah.
because she does the cleaning of the headstones. and-
yeah.
I was in Pine Grove working this week,
You were.
I don't need the new folder.
a little windy.
I realized the name of, I think the Hartford one is Maple Grove, right? So I thought, oh, similar name, Maple Grove, on Church
Yeah.
Street, Pine Grove.
We don't have a noise.
Of course, this is Staples Hill Cemetery, but they're not taking new interns.
Like Lebanon.
Not sure how many residents there are.
The Staple Hill one, I just noticed the other day, it's like,
I never knew that one.
it's right there, you would never, I mean,
It's
I
across
live, yeah.
Barrows.
Yeah.
What helped was a little sign that they installed a few years ago, because I used to go by, but that sign helps.
Yeah, I actually was going up there the other day on the hill and it was like, oh, there's a cemetery there.
All of this.
These were all family, originally, probably a lot of these were family
Grab the whole
cemeteries.
thing, the whole
Well,
window, and
That one, not so much.
No, really,
Split screen.
Now, like over in Meadowview, yes.
Yeah.
More so, because
Mhm.
Meadowview was earlier.
Yeah.
My brain is like, yeah, here.
what are the one over past Carol Ferris's place on the left-hand side?
We're not sure how many residents there are there either. They were, as far as we can figure, a few people we know of that's in there live on that end,
Right,
right around there, because you know where Ferris Chamberlain lives?
yeah,
There's one off out in the woods to the right of her,
oh, wow,
that's more, that end of Canton Point.
wow,
It just dawned on me, the familial relationship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is now, but I know.
So is this yours?
Yeah,
Is that
Meadowview
yours?
has 5
So I have to put
cemeteries,
everything in.
Canton Point has 3.
You can,
Let me just do one first.
okay,
Wow.
Canton has 1.
that's your installation.
I got two things open, all right.
At least they're quiet neighbors.
Yes, yeah, I've never had trouble out of them.
You take, you,
What's that?
I'm not gonna give you control of my computer. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, the town website under planning
Yeah.
board
Mhm.
doesn't have our December 2 date on there. I mean, it's probably announced, but I'm wondering if they could add that on there or not. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them, because I know Aaron was out today for a medical issue.
So now it'll all be in a share in a drive, and what I can do is I can
Okay.
add the rest
I
of
should shoot them an email.
board
about
members
this thing.
to the drive, so you guys will have access to that folder
Yes.
within my
Yeah,
Google
I
Drive.
would put,
I don't like using.
always
their
email
own
both.
folder. They set us up with our own. I think they should have, the town of Canton should have email addresses for us, or at least one email address that we all have access to.
Mhm. So inside these folders are a lot of the old ones, multiple like draft copies, all kind of, a lot of stuff is in those folders.
That's fine.
That's probably why they're so big. Should have like, I should make it under this. Yeah, gets rid of all the other stuff. 8 minutes left,
Yeah, I can
put
see
them
it.
all on a Google Drive.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's add people.
Couple more to do.
Do you have a particular email you'd want to use, Brad?
The Visa Caster one
Okay.
is the best, yeah. I think recently I had inadvertently sent the Bradley.Seeker, which isn't a problem, but I like to keep it all organized.
And for some
Alright.
reason, I have you in here twice. One
There's
of
only one
them,
of me.
it should be,
Is that thing done?
Are you hot?
I am. I am wearing a sweater, but. Yeah, I mean.
share to anyway. Yeah, share anyway.
Okay. Well, this is doing its thing. Let's go over to the, floodplain management ordinance.
Okay. What's a good email address for you, Don?
D Everly, Dawn, so Everly.
Okay.
The number one.
Yep.
At gmail.com.
So D Everly
One,
1 at Gmail.
yeah,
Perfect.
if you email me, I'll have your email, just say,
So I'm gonna send you an email that will be coming from me that will give you access to a Google Drive link.
okay,
That'll have all of those ordinances and any changes we've made on them.
okay. Cool. Happy reading.
We
Yeah,
had
sure,
them
I'll have
alphabetically,
access
and
to
then at
that.
one point, I think in the book, and then we had them maybe chronologically or something. The ones we thought were the most important were
Mhm.
time to redo the books. People are like, why are you reading books? Because in a meeting like this, you can't all be looking at the screen. It helps to have something in front of you.
And I ask you a favor,
No, you may not, of course.
when you edit stuff now, if you do it in that link,
Yeah, yes.
all of the edits we will be able to see.
So once it's here, I'll bookmark it and then I'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right
You got
now, this one is available in the drive. So you can go in the drive if you wanted to pull it up from there.
All right.
It'll make it easy for everyone going forward.
I mastered Google Drive when I worked at the college for a year. So how do I get this open?
So if you go back to,
I'm in your drive, I opened up this one.
yes,
It's not big.
double click on the file. It should open it. It'll, yeah,
I want to get rid of this one now.
it's gonna open it in Google Docs. Is that gonna be a problem?
I'm okay with that.
I just don't know if the editing will be different,
Of course it is.
because it's now,
Well, I know there's like formatting things that are not quite right yet, but. All right. Anyway, it's here. So this should be the same thing you printed out in front of you.
What?
It says floodplain management ordinance.
Okay,
and I can follow along on your highlights.
So this is one of the ordinances we were updating. The state, ours had not been done since 2007, I think. I forget how long ago ours had been. It's a long time. The state issued an updated recommended ordinance in 2023. We're like, yeah, it's only a year old. So we took the state ordinance, put it into our formatting,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a few things here that are highlighted in color that
Yeah.
are, that we still have to make some decisions on.
Okay.
And I know that I saw after I printed out tonight, there's a couple more formatted things. Like the footers aren't formatted, and there's a weird header, a couple pages in, that kind of thing. And I have not updated the page numbers on the first page to match this current pagination, but that's
Okay.
the very last thing I did. So these are all the same sections. We did not change any of the content from the state's 2023 ordinance.
Okay.
So as we go down, the only changes that are in here are highlighted in yellow. Or things that we still need to address. So I believe we are a D firm classification. That means that we have special flood hazards. We have zone A and zone AE, which we know we have on our hazard mitigation maps. I don't know that we have a flood insurance study for Oxford County, Maine. Apparently we do dated 2023. I will try to track down that study so that we can make sure we have all the right dates in this block here. And we have flood insurance rate maps, but they are quite old. They are not 2023. So
I would think they wouldn't have changed since then, but
well, I don't know that there's any 2023 flood insurance rate maps that exist. Let me call the state this week and see if we can get an answer to these questions. Our maps, just for Dawn to benefit. These are the flood insurance rate maps for the town of Canton.
Okay, I understand what they all are. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So it does tell us, and these are dated 2009. So I don't know if these are the latest ones the town has.
So who does those?
FEMA.
Oh,
Like some of these are dated preliminary 2007, so these are quite old. And as Tom says, I don't know if they change, really, but we should be able to get an updated set of these.
so who, is there a FEMA office over in Augusta?
There is, we'll call MEMA to Maine Emergency Management to see what they have, and there used to be an office of floodplain management in the state of Maine.
Okay.
And there was a guy named Lou, is it Lou Seidel? Lou? I can see his face, he's retired, I don't even know who's doing that job anymore. But. I will put them, I'll take care of that. In,
Yeah, I would think though, that, I mean, Canton's been flooding for a long time.
well, yes,
very
and
long
does the angle of the river move? Like it does.
Yes, it does.
City
Yeah.
roads, it moves. Do they have updated maps? I know the state, we had someone in maybe quite a while ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, who was, because I just started, and she was in charge of state GIS mapping.
Mm-hmm,
So they were the state was trying to digitize a lot of these maps.
mm-hmm.
And I don't remember now where they're at. I see you in my document. I see you editing my document.
sorry. I just clicked on it, that's all.
Okay, so you're gonna call and,
I will call and figure out what's going on there.
okay.
So do we want, and we can talk to Scott, who's our CEO, code enforcement officer. Because right now he does a lot of the permit reviews.
Scott
Mills,
Mills.
and we share him with Hartford. I think he's Hartford's primary code enforcement
Okay.
officer. He's being nice and doing us as well.
Mhm.
I mean, this says, before any construction of a development, including the placement of a manufactured home, begins within any areas of special flood hazard established in Article 1, a flood hazard development permit shall be obtained from. Do you want to say the code enforcement officer can issue that permit, or is that something that the planning board wants to review?
And this was something that the model was blank on, they wanted us to
Correct.
fill in, okay.
Correct. That's why it's yellow, because we have to make a decision.
With everything else we have to make decisions on, I don't think we should be the ones making the decision on this particular thing.
I agree, but the one building application permit that was issued back several years ago by the CEO is allowing a building to be built in the floodplain.
Hmm.
So there's,
I have a question on that, because I wasn't here during the buyout or anything. I just, out of curiosity. A building is being built in the floodplain, but that property obviously was not bought out by FEMA,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
So. Are there certain rules and regulations of height? You know, like I know when my parents rebuilt their home and they re-put the new home that's in there now. That was elevated
Correct.
to try to,
That's in this ordinance, so you have to be.
that's it to build where the building that I'm talking about is just, should have go by this.
right,
So by, yeah,
is it going, I don't wanna know whose it is, but is it going by that?
no,
So we had a code enforcement officer who didn't understand the rules and issued a permit. Erroneously. So now somebody's got a building permit and you can't really take it away. Now, they are probably, we hope that they will be smart enough to build appropriately.
because they do live and have lived for quite a while in the flood zone in town. So they've got a lot of experience with being flooded in, so
Was it flooded in during this last storm?
it always gets flooded in if town gets flooded,
What is this the building that's on?
Ranger Mill.
I know exactly which building it is.
Okay,
I grew up on Ranger Mill Road,
okay.
so I know the location and yeah, okay.
For any flooding. as a rule
What is
of-
it for a building? Is it gonna be a house? Or is it just like a shed?
Well, right now it's a garage of
Yeah.
some sort of building structure.
But
Right.
anytime it floods in Canton as a rule, cause I, obviously get stuck on my side, it floods everywhere. In town, can't
Right.
Did he own that property prior to the
buy out.
buyout?
I believe so.
Did he?
Okay, that's it, cause I know years ago, that property was butted up against my parents' property, and that property was owned by Strout down in there. And that house is gone, the Strout house is gone.
That was buyout.
That was buyout, so that, but they could determine during the buyout if they wanted to keep certain portions of the land?
No, he sold his whole lot. Now, it may have been sold prior to that
He,
flood in 2004.
uh,
I'd have to look.
But then people had option to buy out.
it could have, it was,
Correct, but
I can
but
tell you
either
why, it
bought out or
was.
not. It wasn't like, you
No.
can only buy out this portion of my
Yeah.
property, I'm gonna keep this other piece. It was not
No,
divided.
he had sold that house prior to 2004, and I know that because he bought my dad's house.
Right.
And that was in 2000 and probably three-ish, that he bought that property. So he would have sold his house on School Street. I don't know what you call that, School Street?
Yeah, still.
That probably would have been sold. So, But he could have kept a portion of that, or he could have sold a portion of that property to whoever's building, whatever his name is,
Prior to the flood.
prior to the flood. So he's got the right to build there. That's not the issue at all. The issue is,
Should he have been given a building permit without certain restrictions on that permit, like elevation requirements and other kinds of things that are part of this ordinance? So I don't think,
okay, so the question I have is, does the code enforcement officer not know the ordinances in the
well,
town?
we've had a revolving door on code. enforcement.
Okay,
I think we've had 4 or 5 in the last 7 years.
okay.
And so, and some of them were very new and we're in the process of getting trained and things happened and they issued
Yeah.
stuff without really
Yeah, okay,
knowing all the
All right.
factors.
okay.
So,
But I
Robin's
would,
suggesting that the planning board have some element of review.
yeah,
Yes,
On anything.
that way, I feel like you said, don't. Planning board members tend to stay longer than CEOs. How's that for a nice way to say that?
So we could say to a flood hazard development permit shall be obtained from the planning board following code enforcement officer review. So he's got to weigh in on it. So we have the ultimate say. You want to do that? What's that?
Makes sense.
That's what yeah.
Well, good, we're on page 2. Woohoo.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not, there's no sorry here.
Okay.
So Article 3 gives you the application process.
Oh, 3, okay. And there's an area in red with blanks. Is that something that needs to be filled
That's
in?
the same thing on the previous page, this flood insurance study.
Yeah.
And the, or flood insurance rate map. So we need to determine when the most recent one was.
Okay,
And put those dates in there. And that little sentence appears several times in this ordinance.
okay, got it.
So we'll update it. in this- every time we see it. If we want to skip, this is our third time through it, John, just so you know.
Okay, there's an error on Article 4. And start typo.
Where,
Article 4,
under which section?
it's got the and a number 3. Article,
Oh, yes,
Article 4,
on the top line.
yeah. Oh, my glasses, so I'm struggling.
You're doing great. Article 2. So,
That
yeah,
first
This
sentence.
is the conversion from a PDF.
That's okay.
Maybe those.
Yeah,
So just so you know, application fees, oftentimes an ordinance will have a specific amount. As we're updating these, we are saying application fees will be determined by the select board and they'll be on the town's fee schedule. So there'll be a separate document that keeps all the fees.
Mhm.
They're not gonna be a part of ordinances anymore.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna have a separate document for fees, okay.
Yeah.
Because if they change the fee, then we have to totally redo the ordinance, so
Right.
that way it's easier.
So the fees will be through town office.
Oh, the
Selectmen.
board of
Select- Board of
select board,
Selectmen.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, not
Now that it's in Google
it's the
Docs,
same
I don't
thing,
know how to do it.
So it must have been traditional action.
I've not done a spell check on this yet. Oh, here we go, spelling right.
okay, so okay, where are we at? 4 still?
Glasses for a minute.
On Article 5,
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
should we be? The book should say the planning board then, or I mean, sorry,
Say-
CEO.
It'll say planning board and CEO, wouldn't it? Because the planning board and then the CEO is gonna review it. Isn't it gonna be both?
Yeah,
It
that's my
should be,
understanding.
because like I said, I feel like the mess, I shouldn't say mess, what has happened in the past, the CEO issued the permit without having all the knowledge.
Well, if you read that would have, he would not have been allowed to issue a permit, correct?
But he didn't. No
No,
one knew,
I know,
but no one knew of this till just here late in June.
okay. But in reality,
Yes,
I'm just asking the
yes.
question,
Yes.
if this had been in place and knew about it, just reading A would have eliminated him from being able to issue a permit, correct?
Without all kinds of
The
other
the
stuff.
steps, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
You're talking common sense, Dawn.
Thank goodness.
Oh, sorry. I could see it would be better, but it's okay.
You're doing fine for being blind, you're doing great.
I hope they're at home, because I don't know where they are if they're not.
So that D-firm section there in the middle again, will be updated once we find our
Right.
flood insurance studies, the latest one. I'll check to see if the town has anything either, but I'm pretty sure it'd have to be either in the floodplain office or MEMA or FEMA has them.
So is it because of the fact that it's flood zone, we then get involved? Is that the only reason why?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because we don't get involved with any other building permits unless it's commercial.
What we do, we look at shoreline zoning permits and what's
Right.
being built in the shoreline zone. And we look at subdivision permits and we look at.
I gotta hear
Well,
shoreline, flood,
Yeah,
commercial, subdivisions, and I don't know,
Maybe cluster housing.
what is cluster housing? I don't really know. what
That's our
that is.
next one to review. It's a effort by the state to stop urban sprawl, and they're saying if you're gonna put houses into a community. Let's put them all in one place and create like a tighter sense of community and then make open space. So you don't end up with a lot of
I gotcha.
cutter lots kind of thing, let's put them all tighter and but then make more open space.
Mm,
We have not got to that one to review yet.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
So I'll fix the like the header with the icon showing up in the middle of the page. I'll fix that. Don't have to take Google Sheets. But I'll figure it out.
So if you have the CEO, is he the one that goes out, like, whenever I've had a couple houses built, and every phase, someone comes out to review the house,
Yes,
to make sure that you're
Yeah.
meeting all standards?
yes.
Is that what he does?
yeah,
And the one we have now is a retired contractor.
Oh,
He really,
well, he knows, you should, you know.
yeah.
it was very helpful in our walkthrough of a proposal for solar location
Mhm.
on the Canton Point Road. And his knowledge was so helpful as we walked together
Uh-huh,
as a group, yeah.
that one was, is not being done, is it?
My understanding, they are reapplying, it's up past the gravel pit, up past the trailer park.
Okay, on that side, on the left side?
Yeah.
You got it.
There's a gravel pit there.
Yeah. Moratorium, I thought they put on it, a
Well, the
moratorium.
moratorium got taken off because it expired and in place of that, the town issued a solar ordinance. So now that we have regulations, we don't need the moratorium.
So is the one over here off of 108 done?
Oh yeah, that's been up and running for about a year.
Oh, is it, it is, has, oh, that
Yeah,
was.
That's a
cool.
large project, and
Yeah,
we
you-
have one that the new ordinance allows, just one big project.
Mhm,
And that's the one behind the building.
right, yeah,
But even
kind of
that-
nice, you can't really see it, which is nice, in my opinion.
Well, there are people who abut that who are not happy that it's there.
have you seen the one that's in Leeds?
Going up in Leeds.
On 219,
I've seen so many, I've
The
seen
one
one,
in Farmington going towards Skowhegan, whatever that is, around that farm.
you know, huge,
yeah,
huge.
there was
So there-
one that was proposed to come into Canton where like the old fairgrounds used to be.
Yep. I know,
That would have been 430 acres, which is 80% of the size of the one that's in Farmington. So,
Well, some of it would have been up near the windmills. that was up
Right.
On that side, and some would be in the ground area. And the town was very
What is-
concerned about visibility, and I said, you could put a tree barrier around it, but.
you know, I haven't noticed, if you're driving up, Lake Hill, I call it Lake Hill. You're driving up Lake Hill, you can't see, you've got,
You'd have to look past somebody's house quite a ways back.
right, you don't see it at all, which I really think is great, personally, I
If you
mean, that.
drive in-
yeah,
You know where Russ Tracy lives, the
Mm,
car repair guy.
yes,
If
that's
you
where
drive
Steve grew up.
in, if you drive in his driveway, he abuts it.
Well, yeah, I know, I kind of know, I know where the property is, but you know, I think if it can be done tastefully, I don't see any problem. What does the town get out of this? Does the
Yeah.
town get anything from the solar?
The assessment, I think, in the short term goes up, right? But then it goes down because these panels are depreciating, so I don't know, but.
And is there anything in these that where if they depreciate, they have to take them out?
No, they have a lifespan and they are required by law to return the ground when they decide it's defunct. They
Okay,
have to
that's what
return
I
the
mean.
ground back to the original.
And
Okay.
they,
Plan.
before they start, they have to post a bond with the state to take care of that, dismantling it, to pay for that.
That's good, okay,
I think there's a big question about how they're valued and what could be a tax benefit to the town of these. And I don't know that we explored that correctly with our assessor. Because the assessor said, if you did the 400-acre one, that might be worth $500,000 a year in taxes to the town. If it's assessed and taxed in a certain way, there's more than one
Right.
way to tax them.
Yeah.
So. But I don't know that we discussed that at length and really understood what the implications are of that.
but is that something that would come through the planning board to approve or disapprove?
Well, we have an ordinance in place now
Right,
that would prohibit the big one from happening.
okay,
So it's kind of a moot point, but I think if people knew that there was a potential revenue stream. As the town, we still have an aging population in our town, even though we're getting more younger people in. All the cost of services keep going up. Our
Mhm.
revenue stream is difficult to match the
Yeah,
costs.
yeah.
As a town.
Yeah.
Would people change the ordinance to allow something like that if they knew there was gonna be a revenue stream from it? I don't know.
But I think to part of it, on the revenue part, there was too much of some people, it was too much of an unknown. Cause maybe.
But there was a suggestion to keep the moratorium in place 6 more months, get that question answered before you put the ordinance in place, but that didn't happen. The ordinance got passed and so now we don't have it.
but we do have the possibility of putting a different one in,
But not to that size,
can put
not,
not to that size,
Yeah.
right?
We said 3 medium, right?
Yeah.
1 large, 3 medium, but they can't be contiguous, like you can't just say, I'll take my lots A, B, and C and put them all together. Now
Yeah,
I've got
no,
one big one.
no,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
you, okay,
good.
okay,
And then that ordinance supports whatever you wanna do on your personal property, right? If you want for your own use. You're gonna put them on your house, your barn, a big panel in your backyard, you can basically do whatever you want. As long as it's not
okay.
1 megawatt or whatever the big amount of is. So where did we leave off here?
Are we on page 5?
I think we're further down. They're about Article 4, Article 5. Are we up to Article 6, development standards?
You just have it highlighted at the bottom, utilities.
Right, so we just want to make sure this A130 is potential designation on those flood insurance maps. We just want to make sure whether we need those or not. We know we need zone A, we need zone AE. So we'll just double check whether we need the 1 through 30.
Okay,
And we had agreed that elevated to at least 1 foot above the base flood elevation. And I think we determined base flood elevation to be the 100-year floodplain. 100-year
Not the
flood.
way it's defined. I
Yeah.
think.
So we know around Canton what the 100-year flood
Was
level
this-
is. I don't know.
did that meet this last flood? No, oh, no, okay.
We're looking at the worst, I think, right, in a
Right.
100-year span.
Mhm.
What
I
could
think
happen?
One the 87, one of the worst, the lately,
I think so, and then the 2000.
from what I,
So 87 was worse than this last one?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
it came all the way up to Conant's Market in 87, I think.
Well, I got somewhere I got aerial pictures of the 2003 one. That was quite, you weren't living here then, were you, 2003? It was, you know exactly where the little rise in 140 is in town, like if you come past, Mark Blanchett's house. There's actually a small rise in the road up to the blinking light.
Mhm.
Because it flooded his house, the lady across the street from him.
Wayne Packard.
Yes, the ball flooded kind of on that end, flooded this little corner here did not flood. You went around the corner and then it started flooding up to the brown house in front of the villa, the white house at the front of the Pinnacle. Those guys, their driveways were completely flooded, just, a little ways up the side of those buildings, and then way down, the road dips, you don't even notice it when you're driving. It dips as you're going on 108 towards Peru, because homes like, Jim and Cynthia Diamond's home was flooded like over halfway up the front door level, like the whole inside. Really flooded, but their house set below road grade. I mean, there's a lot of,
The Victoria Villa residents had to be evacuated to Buckfield High School, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly, right? Something like that. They had to be evacuated.
This year,
No, oh, maybe, I don't know.
No, this year they went to jail.
they went to jail, they got evacuated this year,
Yes,
right, because the only exit they have is on 108.
right?
And so, part of the original idea of putting a housing development where the solar
Solar
panels
panels are,
was you could potentially leave the nursing home, go up through that development and come out on 140. So you didn't have to, you weren't forced to evacuate until the water got higher. So you thought that would be better for the residents because it's very disruptive, have to take them out and move them. So it gave them a backdoor access. That was one of the reasons
yeah, would have been a good,
they were doing that, but, but now since you're only accessing 140, when the water's rising, you don't know how high it's gonna go before it's, dangerous to move them. You
Mhm.
kind of have to anticipate move them earlier.
wow.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I lived in Lewiston during that flood in '87, and the bridge, where the falls are. The water was up to the bottom of that bridge, like it was absolutely crazy,
I think the last flood I remember here was back in
cause I actually just found a picture of it.
77, 78.
Wow.
I was going to school in Boston.
Yeah,
and I
that's-
came up
The falls are right there,
and
they are no longer falls.
about 4 feet up from the ground in the
Yeah.
trees, maybe 6 feet.
Yes.
See where it
Yeah,
froze,
crazy.
the water
Oh,
froze
ring
and
of
then,
ice around the
yeah,
trees, yeah.
and then it sunk. My parents had to be taken out by a bulldozer.
I know when I was walking the riverbed last week on Canton Point, that you could see the crap up in the tree.
Yeah.
And it was probably 10 to 15, I was standing on the dry riverbed. It was probably 10 to 15 feet over my head,
Yeah. That's why I thought it was
which
pretty
to me
bad.
was like a
but-
lot. Cause
Oh, yeah, you got the 1 foot here, at least 1 foot,
Yeah.
When you did this.
1 foot above the flood zone,
yesterday,
Oh,
Base
yes.
flood,
base flood elevation, okay,
which is defined in the definitions of the back.
Ah,
yeah. Okay, so you've got down here, you've got.
Just checking, everybody's happy with the 1 foot.
yeah,
Yeah.
that seemed pretty
Okay,
standard, I
then
think.
we'll
looked into.
turn all those black.
Yep. 1 foot, 1 foot, yeah.
And then these variables, understanding, I know we're zone A and AE, I don't know
Yeah.
that we're 1 through 30, so once we figure that out.
We'll short, take those out.
How long have it been since that?
Okay, 1 through 30, 1 through 30, 1 through 30.
Down to Article 7, certificate of compliance. You can't get an occupancy permit until a certificate of compliance is issued by the,
Where am I at? Did I miss it?
this is Article VII, Article 7, Article 7.
Oh, here we go.
So do we want to be the ones to go out and measure the certificate of compliance? Or do you want to say, once you've been permitted, the code enforcement officer can do the follow-up and make sure they're complying with the regulations? And then give them their occupancy permit?
I would say yes.
No, I talked to Scott this week about something else and I said, hey, you'll probably in the next week see a copy of this coming through for your review. So he'll get it. He may say, I don't want to be doing all these things you've got me doing here. And he may say, it's okay.
What page is Article 7 on? I'm trying to find it.
20.
Okay,
Actually, we have 2 page 20s. The way that's marked on the bottom.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, well, I see how the footers, when I put it into Google Docs, all the footers went away.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll figure out how to fix it.
let's see.
Okay.
It's Article 7, VII.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Is it on zone A, non-residential?
So,
But I might have missed something, the portion about, that you were asking about us measuring. I was just wanting to make sure I was on the right page on that. As far as if that was the Article 7 or B, let me see. This is-
Well, certificate of compliance. It's here, it's at the top of this.
Hmm.
There are, I think right there. two pages.
Oh, you know what? Mine's cut off, I think. Hmm. Mhm. Mhm.
So this is like in a normal housing permit, you get all your permits to build, and then the code enforcement officer has to come back and inspect everything to make sure you're compliant, and then you get a occupancy permit, you can now legally move in. So this is the same idea, I believe that you have to get a certificate of compliance, so the code enforcement officer just checks, it says, you got the permit, you gotta build to these standards that are listed here, I'm just checking that in fact you're building to the standards.
But does he do that before the building's completed or at the end?
This is at the end.
So,
This is the occupancy. This is basically saying,
You can move in. basically.
no land in this shall be occupied or used, no structure which is constructed or substantially improved in the flood zone can be occupied until a certificate of compliance is issued, subject to these provisions. So they have to submit an elevation certificate completed by a professional land surveyor.
so that to me wouldn't that be done initially? I understand for occupancy, but the house is done and all of a sudden they're not building at the right elevation. That's not a good thing.
No, they're supposed to know what that is ahead of time.
Right.
Because it's laid out here. They've got their own engineers or whoever's
Right,
surveying and building for them. If they're smart, they'll have the CEO come and check halfway through, right?
okay.
Before
Yeah.
you get to the end
Mhm.
and find out it's not correct.
Review the elevation certificate and the applicant's written verification. I mean, he's out there anyway. He should be out there inspecting everything.
Yes.
So it makes sense that he would be doing this portion of it, right?
Yes, I agree. Article 8 is all about subdivisions and development proposals. So if you're developing in an area that is connected to the flood zone, you have to do Article 8.
Five or more, just,
Yeah, so this is all about subdivisions and
Yeah,
developments.
yeah.
So the appeals section is in pretty much all of our ordinances.
Okay.
So if somehow you're said, so based on this, you're denied a building permit. Or determine that you can't occupy it because it's not the right height or whatever. Somebody can appeal. Canton does not have a standing board of appeals because we don't have, enough need for it, for them to be on call all the time. And so there's a bit of a scramble to get one, like when we need one, which is, I mean, we've only needed one in the last 7 years, I believe. You have to find somebody to volunteer, get them grounded, organized, try and figure out what they're supposed to do, and then they have to review whatever the appeal is. Mostly people asking for variance. Something they don't, the ordinance says you can't do it, they want to do it, so they ask for a variance.
Okay, okay.
So in the past, the Board of Appeals, did they submit to the select board? I don't remember that step.
They should have submitted a report at the end of the day that says. This variance was granted for these reasons, or this variance was denied for these reasons. There should have been a written statement. Based on that. I've never seen that in the last round. I don't know what happened to that report.
By the way, will we be able to take a step back to Article 8 again?
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm wanting us to take a step back to Article 8 is because I guess I'm not seeing limiting language about. I'm not seeing anything that that is triggering language about, that would say, oh, this only has to be one only has to submit something here if it's in the flood zone, because if that were the case, I mean, I'm just looking for that kind of phrasing,
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
You mean, what you're saying is, if the property isn't built in the flood zone, then they don't have to be worried about the 1 foot elevation above the base flood zone, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if we're dealing with subdivision and development proposals,
Oh,
what is the language in here that would say that a subdivision is exempt from having to go through this? It seems like because it is a special category unto itself, these requirements are connected to subdivisions. Do you
right,
know what I mean? About, I could be misreading it. I know we have a separate subdivision ordinance, but I'm also seeing here that it says the planning board shall, when reviewing subdivisions and other proposed developments that require review under other federal law, state law, or local ordinances or regulations, and all projects on 5 or more disturbed acres, or in the case of manufactured home parks divided into 2 or more lots, assure that, and then boom, 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 all these different requirements are here. So it seems like, what I'm saying is I'm highlighting, I don't think a subdivision is exempt. But simply by virtue of not being in the flood zone, but they might be able to satisfy these more easily by saying, well, this won't be an issue here, but I think they are required.
Yep.
Mhm. Required to meet the flood zone standards.
Oh, yeah, as laid out here in Article
Right,
8, yeah,
right.
exactly, yeah.
So if we go back to the purpose and establishment of this ordinance. It says, the very first Article 1. Certain areas in town of Canton are subject to periodic flooding causing serious damages to properties within these areas. It talks about the intent of the town of Canton, Maine to require the recognition and evaluation of flood hazards in all official actions relating to land use in the floodplain areas. Having special flood areas. They're having special flood hazards.
Mhm.
I mean, you would never get a flood, you'd never have to get a floodplain management permit. For something that wasn't in the floodplain.
No,
You certainly would want it, I think under our subdivision ordinance, there's. All kinds of. Standards around water management, making sure that you're not causing erosion, that you're not. Causing water to get into somebody's cellar or whatever, I think there's water management. Standards in the subdivision ordinance. I do think this only applies in the flood hazard zones. But I agree with you, that's not always written that way, in that way.
And
I'm trying to understand. So we have a sub ordinance that takes care of all that. You're saying if a subdivision or a multi-unit facility was being built in the flood zone area, that they would have to meet the standards of this flood policy.
well, certainly at a minimum, I'm saying that, but I'm
Minimum.
not saying plus. What I'm trying to say is subdivisions are a creature of their own. And
Oh.
because the language isn't clear here, technically, one could say, well, because we have a subdivision ordinance that we must review under our local ordinances, now we have to ask these questions. And one could say, well, the reason why this isn't in the subdivision ordinance is because we're talking about issues where we're just making sure there are no flood problems. I would, yeah.
Oh, so you're saying this should be in the flood, this,
No, I think he's saying under Article 8,
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, E should be an element of review of all subdivision proposals,
right,
no matter what.
is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. So you're gonna put that caveat in this here,
I think the way it's written now, it says. The planning board shall, when reviewing subdivisions,
yeah, all proposals to be.
that require review under federal law, state law, other local ordinances. Or projects, or proposed developments, or projects on 5 or more disturbed acres, or manufactured home parks with 2 or more lots, any of those cases, so any subdivision at all. You have to look for, make sure it's consistent with the need to minimize flood damage.
Right?
You have to make sure utilities
Mm-hmm.
are located and constructed to minimize or eliminate flood damage. Adequate drainage is provided. That base flood elevations, flood boundaries. etc., or that data is included. And a plan, include a condition of plan approval requiring structures on the lot, have a portion of its land within a special flood hazard, blah, blah, blah. Be constructed in accordance with, so E is the only one that basically says, if that proposed. Structure in any development is within a special flood hazard zone, then you have to do the rest of these things. Those first A, B, C, D. Are basic elements of
Mm-hmm.
any plan, whether it's in the flood zone or not.
Right.
But I think that flooding isn't just a function of the rivers and the brooks, right? I mean, not this past spring, but a year ago, when we had super heavy rains. And Andy Cohen's first day on the job is during the downpours.
Yeah,
And
and
we had a
the-
block culvert across the street from us, and so Staples Hill was just a river.
Mm.
For several
Oh.
days,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Did any of you flood?
Yeah, I think the basement had some problems. You know, most of the time it's not a problem. But I'm thinking it probably was in that occasion. I don't know, it's hard
yeah,
for me to
yeah.
conceptualize, but I know we recently, well, not we, but like, for example, my parents' home. It has flooded in the basement.
Mm.
Usually that's not a problem, but it was, so not ideal.
We sit below road grade, and the old section, the foundation, that's the 1800s.
Yeah.
In spring, that thing is like, you can just hear the water falling. I mean, we have a sump pump and a sump, we have a sump and a sump
Yeah,
pump.
yeah.
And everything goes into that hole, it goes up, but everything's stamped. I mean, there's nothing down there except a pallet with some.
Yeah.
Paint cans on it.
Actually,
And the furnace is elevated.
my parents' house used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
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 You would think on a hill it wouldn't happen, huh?
Well, I've never waited, flooded right after we moved here, and my son was quite small, he was very worried. I did say that if it gets that high on Staples Hill, you need to build a park.
Yes, true. Very true. So are we changing any of the wording in this article 8?
I don't know, what do you think?
I think it should stay the way it is, because if in fact someone is not in a flood area, then the plans that they come up with will easily be able to show that this is not a concern, or this isn't gonna concern, but that they've given some consideration to these points. And as was pointed out, and like this subsection E, then there are more requirements if someone's in a special flood hazard
Yeah.
area. But these first 4, for example, that would be everybody.
Yeah.
But, I think if one is not in a flood zone, it probably is easier to satisfy
All of
the
those.
plan, how it's all met,
Mhm. Okay. I agree.
That's you.
It's
Something,
allergic
yeah.
to us.
Mhm.
So under the Board of Appeals.
Mhm.
Excuse me, pardon me. If the planning board has said, um. You can't get a permit for whatever reason, somebody appeals, the Board of Appeals gives. Whatever, they either grant the variance or they don't, should they give that result to the select board? Give that result back to the planning board, what should we do with that result?
It wouldn't hurt for both of them.
The planning board and select board?
Yeah,
I think the more people that know, the better.
well, that's it. Cause, you know, we don't know the one time there has been an appeal made, if there was a report done this way. You know, and then we can maybe look at, okay, it was denied because of, or approved because of, is there changes we could make to the the whatever ordinance it is,
Okay,
Well-
because they could say,
use it for
we
feedback,
grant this variance for these reasons,
yeah,
and here are the conditions that have to be applied to that, right? They
Yeah.
can put some qualifications around that. Okay, so they're gonna let everybody know what the report that variance action is, but then the planning board and CEO can issue a flood hazard development permit. All right. Oh, so then we have the penalties, under Article 10, the penalties contained in Title 30A MRSA subsection 4452 shall apply to any violation of this ordinance. I mean, we can leave that in there, or we can. I know usually the state does say things like. Every violation is so much a day to a minimum of, or a maximum of. Blah, 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 blah. Brad can check that out for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so it's
see. Okay, enforcement of land use laws and ordinances. Civil penalties, here we go. So, the following provisions apply to violations of the laws and ordinances set forth in subsection 5. So for example, local ordinances, oops, there we go. Except for paragraph H, monetary penalties may be assessed on a per day basis and are civil penalties. The minimum penalty for starting construction or undertaking a land use activity without a required permit is $100, and the maximum penalty is $2,500. The minimum penalty for a specific violation is $100 and the maximum penalty is $5,000. And I mean, I don't want to bore everybody. I mean, it goes on from there, like not a paragraph can't be, the maximum penalty is $10,000 for any violation of a law or an ordinance set forth in subsection 5, paragraph Q, which would be. Oh, that's about shoreland zoning ordinances.
Yeah, you violate shoreline zoning, they slap you.
Yeah. If the violation occurs within an area zone for resource protection, yeah, so they list the different things, so that's good that we have a statute that,
So we'll leave it
you
there.
know, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Alright.
They assess it per day, that racks up quick, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So the definitions start on Article 13. Which defines alphabetically all the different What's an accessory structure, adjacent grade, blah, 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 blah.
Nope, don't know that. What page is that?
It's.
Oh, they all say 20, never mind. They all say 20.
Article.
On page 15, so when I put it in Google Docs, it's now page 15.
Oh, wait a minute, I did, okay. Okay, Article 10, Article
It'll-
11,
That's
Article
on
12, oh, here we go, I gotcha, I found it,
Oh, by the way, on Article 9, where it said, I don't want to go back too much, but I just want to say, it said the town of Canton, that just needs to be a capital T on the first sentence, but that's it, yeah.
Which one?
Oh, very
in Article
first
9,
sentence, yeah.
on the first sentence.
Yeah.
The town of Canton. Oh, it's already fixed, actually.
Oh, I did, I fixed it already, sorry. I didn't-
All right, that's
When I
great.
saw it, I just fixed it as we were talking through it, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You.
That what we can do with this is if we are in general agreement here is, I'll find out. Whether we need that A1 to 30. I will find out what the latest dates of the Oxford County floodplain studies are. I'll send a draft copy to the code enforcement officer for his review. And then once we tighten up those last few things, we'll send it to the select board. When the select board reviews it, they decide when it's ready to go out to legal review. And the lawyer kind of looks at. They look at for exactly.
Right, yeah.
And then they send back any changes they suggest. We're not obligated to make any of those changes, but we always look at what they have to say. And then at some point, this would be ready by town meeting to go for town vote. Now, the fact that this is the state's 2023 version of a floodplain management ordinance, I mean, it's pretty well up to date.
Mhm.
So I think that's.
Yeah.
And there's really, I don't know that there's much here that's changed from our old ordinance, because whatever year that was, 2003, I think, or something, that the state basically, we just. Planning board at that time just took the states, literally copied it and put it in.
Hence the question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks in it, like you have to fill in certain things and they were filled in. We just kept it as question marks.
But
That's the best cut and paste I've ever seen.
if the select board also wants to know, practically speaking, why they should know about the Board of Appeals decision is that, let's say someone's going to appeal the Board of Appeals decision to the Superior Court, then the select board would want to know if they need to hire the lawyer, get the lawyer services for taking the matter to
Yeah.
court.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool, all right. So Tom, if I wanna go up one level now,
So you could just close that, if you wanna close that, just close the tab, then yeah.
That's it, okay. So that's not just floodplain, that's everything, right?
This is, so. Like, if you just want to bookmark,
I want to bookmark the whole folder.
then click that. And then you bookmark that.
Go ahead. Oh, I don't have a tab. I'll just- Okay. Cool.
And all of you guys should have access to this now,
Okay,
so that way when we make edits, we can see them and. We're all good.
Yay.
If I find the copy, a PDF version that has the signatures on it, it's not everything in here does, and some of these are folders, like this has got 14 drafts of the cemetery
Right.
ordinance. I'd be happy to go and clean out the ones that we don't need.
Okay.
And so you were that Don's email?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. All right. Very good. We're up to date. Oh, we're good.
you guys know what you're doing.
Or we got this note. So, we have no public attending, is there anybody on the Facebook page?
Jody?
Jody, so that, Jody, do you have any public comments or the public comment section of our meeting?
Is he still
Are you
muted?
still there?
You may have muted him.
He is
He
muted.
muted himself,
You're muted, Jody.
he may have gone to bed.
Okay.
No, he's
Oh,
still
there.
on.
Hello?
Aye.
We're at the public comment section of our meeting. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we adjourn?
Yes, I just want to welcome Dawn.
Oh, thank you.
Seems like she's fitting very nicely, so I'm glad to see this. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, no, that's about it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
Enjoy your
So
night.
I'm gonna
Thank you.
suggest we move the cluster housing ordinance to our next meeting
Yeah,
for review.
Okay.
Yes, and it should be in that file folder. It's in that. Oh. Yeah, so that's in there as a PDF. It says 2006, that's 18 years old. And I will try to get that into a current format. It is. We can get it in that format. So that'll be the one that we'll discuss. So it's here, but let me see if we can at least get it into our normal format. I think we took the PDF that we got and just converted it to a Word document, so it's got all the problems that with those conversions.
You would think with today's technology that could convert without the
Yeah.
issues, but
Now that it's a Word thing, I can go through and I can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was revised in March 2006 annual town meeting, but it has no signatures on it, so. We'll get this cleaned up for the next one.
Mhm.
All right, cool,
So can I keep these?
you may. We are papers over here.
So I motion to adjourn at 7:40.
Second.
All those in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Oh, that was painless.
Oh, he said that was painless.
So bad.
That's good.
Mhm.
Hudson, that's much, it's got snow today in southern Indiana.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I know.
Is that normal for them to have snowfall before?
Oh, no.
So they're in a lower latitude, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because when I went to school in Michigan, it was even lower.
See if I can stop.
So I've enjoyed. I'm that kind of grandmother.